herself, and new things have come in and she deals with them, and I just like nod, okay, thank you, like, and she gets on with it. So I think it works lots of different ways, where some of them I know that if I do need Marie to do something, I can message her and she'll do it. But she's also actively doing this stuff herself, and then things with like the family and everything take planning. But being a last minute person doesn't always work out well in my favor, because it can cause a lot of chaos. So it was something that me and Chris discussed actually at the end of last year, was like, how can we make things better this year? And it was by just communicating better, making plans in advance rather than just trying to wing each week as we go along, so that we both know where we stand and we can both fit in our own the things that are important to us.
Yeah. What about you, Helen?
I was just thinking while Rochelle was talking, I was like, the planning, I'm all right with the planning, but all the planning is so dependent on everything working perfectly. There is, in my life, there is absolutely no room for those, sort of oh shit moments. So for example, I have quite a few 8:30 calls where I'm coaching senior executives, and I have to drop one boy at 7:35, the other at 8. I've then got to be able to get to the serviced offices I use because I can't get home by 8:30. They have to be there, especially for me, at 8:15 to open the door, because they don't actually start till 8:30. They let me in. I then have to sit down, get myself sorted and in the right mindset to then do a coaching. If anything goes wrong, for example, if the person isn't there to open the serviced offices, all that sort of stuff, it all just collapses. And I think that's where one of the problems comes up, when sort of who is there for you in life and business. Well, planning's great, but actually it's all got to fit so perfectly. Otherwise it just comes crashing down.
And how does that affect the stress though? Because I mean, you came to my events at the beginning of the year where we looked at sort of like lags and like proper project management stuff. And I just think if I was expecting everything to be perfect, I'd be a nutcase. Like I'd be nuts, because all I'd be thinking of is, well, what if it goes wrong, and what am I doing when it goes? That I'd be living in the future as opposed to living in the present. So how do you deal with that, and how does it affect your mental state?
So I think I spend a lot of time regulating myself, a lot of time sort of like meditating. There's also just got to be trust. I've just got to hope. I know it sort of sounds, hope is not a strategy, and then I'm fine, fair enough. But there are times when you just got to go, right, actually, I've just got to give this a go.
Yeah.
There are also, sort of some realities where I do know that if the worst happens, actually all of my clients would be brilliant.
Yeah.
So there is that, but it does force you to be slightly more optimistic because actually, if you were a pessimist, I'll be a mess, and I can't afford to be a mess. So I've just got to say, look, 95% of the time, this is going to work.
Yeah.
And for that 5%, I'll figure it out.
I love that. Naomi, what about you?
Yeah, I feel very much on the same wavelength as Helen there, in so much as, I mean, obviously I don't have all the necessarily all those other responsibilities to juggle, but also my life this last 2.5 years has completely changed since moving my dad up here. There is so much that I plan and arrange and schedule and organize. And then at the last minute, some of those things absolutely get completely sideswiped because of him having a fall, a stroke, whatever it might be. And I actually think I rely very heavily on myself for the level of support that I need, because I trust myself to come up with the goods every time. I know that I'm the person that's responsible. I mean, I have incredible friends, and you started off by saying, like, do we go to certain people?
Yeah.
And honestly, I think I think like a lot of us are probably at that stage of life where I don't want to be I'm going to use the word burden. I don't want to be burdening my friends with like everything that's going on with my dad. You know, some of my friends as well have now lost both of their parents. So what I'm certainly not going to do is share with them when I'm going through really tough times with my dad's,
Right.
because I find that could be insensitive. And, you know, whilst we do have some conversations, it's not the sort of thing I do in the moment. So I'm very much like, I'll navigate it. And yes, I'll share it with my friends or have a chat with them or, you know, have that little bit of sort of sharing or stuff. But it's very, very rare that I ever phone anybody in, you know, in that moment of it happening. I just get on, sort it, figure it out. And then, you know, and then quite often friends say, why didn't you phone me? And I'm like, because actually when you're in it, you just need to get it bloody sorted. You don't need to be like necessarily having somebody on the end of the phone saying, you've got this. I know I've got this. I know I have. So yeah, it's a strange one. It's a strange one.
Have any of you ladies got questions for each other?
I don't know if I've got questions, but like, it popped into my mind then that I'd not mentioned like my mum, and she is a really strong support.
I bet she's listening. I bet she's listening as well. And she's like,
what about me? I do loads for you.
Yeah, but also that comes with guilt, I find, because my mum's brilliant. And so, for example, I'm delivering a 4-day workshop in Cologne in April, and they're moving in to do all the school runs and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, I don't want to ask them that all of the time. They have their own lives. They have all of those sort of things. So actually, you know, once off is fine, but I can't rely on them. And then it's quite interesting as well, because I've actually been actively looking for additional support and and sort of people I'm paying for, sort of childcare support. It's really, really difficult.
How old are your children, Helen?
9 and 11, and basically I just need sort of two sort of 2 days a week people who can do the sort of bookends of the day, do the pickup and the, you know, and that would then free me up to do a load out. But you know, it's finding people who are willing to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my mum has got my little sister who's now 13. So that has always been a difficulty with childcare. If I need her to do the school run, she's got to get my sister to school at one side of the city and then my kids to a school somewhere else. So that was a very difficult. And before I had Chris in my life, I did have to pay a lot for like babysitters to come and help out. So I used to use people that were like the nursery teachers from where they went to nursery, and that was very helpful. So when I first started in property, and my children will have been about probably about 4 and 6 then. So I often like I'd go away for a couple of days and she'd come in and she'd do manage all the school runs and everything. And that was so helpful, but also very expensive. And it does add up. I feel like we're getting to a stage now, Helen, with our children that it's not much longer where they will need us for these school runs. Joshua's getting to the stage now where he's walking. I don't have to get out of the car in the morning anymore. He gets out of the car and he walks down, and then I'm not having to get out of the car in the evening. I'm just picking him up. And at some point, like, he's desperate to start walking all the way home on his own. And we are building up gradually to that stage. But even just him not having to get out of the car and now set off for the school run sort of 10, 15 minutes later than what I was setting off before. And that's given me a bit more time back. So it's like gradually more and less responsibility for us in getting them to school on time.
September will be a game changer. When Sam's in secondary, you know, for exactly all of that, because he can walk Josh in and stuff like that. It's, you know, there are definite improvements, but it's, you know, the reality is, as Naomi said, it's on us. I do it. I look after myself. I care for myself. There's nobody, and I've had a partner recently. We, you know, sort of that ended relatively recently because there was nothing. There was no support unless I had to beg, and you know, there was the guilt with that as well, and you know, just like. No, sorry, I'm better off doing this by myself.
And that's where Chris is amazing, because he doesn't make me feel guilty. It's just like we're a support network, and we've both got our own ambitions and our goals, but we've also got ambitions and goals together, and we're working as a team to get there. So I think it's like, if you are finding someone to help you and support you, it needs to be the right person who's on a similar path with you.
Yeah, I think it comes back to that saying, doesn't it, of you either have a supportive partner or no partner.
Yeah.
Because anything else is just not worth the time and the effort and the extra
Well, it's
energy.
an additional child fundamentally on the roster to look after.
I mean, Chris does have his moments.
Yeah, I think I also, as I'm listening to you, what's really coming in is that we're women who've got different circumstances, and yet we're all going through something very similar. Like we can completely resonate with it as well. Yeah. It's funny because last night when I hosted my masterclass, it's called Ready to Receive, and it's that whole thing of, as you know, professionals and leaders, we tend to not receive openly. So Naomi says, even though my friends have said, call me, I've made the decision that I'm not going to call you because I don't want to bug you. I'm not going to make, you know, I'm not going to do that. Also, I know that my sister, for example, will not have a cleaner in her home. She's like, if you want to get something done, you might as well do it yourself. And I'm like, but where are you getting the time to, like, again, you're expending your time. It comes with the whole, I said this yesterday and everybody went, yep, where if somebody opens the door for you, especially if it's a bloke opens the door, you're like, I got it. I've got my own door.
You know? Oh no, I like having the door open for me. Thank you very much.
I've had to learn having the door open for me, Naomi. But I'm just saying that sometimes, are we not receiving because either we've been disappointed in the past, or when we've been asked for things to have been done, they've just not been done as properly. For me, especially, and so it's like the trust aspect for there is huge, and so for me, it's somebody can say to me, make sure you call me if anything's wrong, and the couple of times where I've gone, okay, I am going to message you to see if when something's wrong, I've had a different response, which means that I go back to, I'm not going to ask again. You know, so there's all of that. So I think the question is, yes, we've tried. Yes, we're taking steps. Yes, we're doing the things differently. What else could we do to add to our support network, even if it's by half a person and stuff? Does that make sense? Like, what else can we do where you don't, because the fact of the matter is we're not born to be islands, right? So it's like, what could we do? And that's also for our listeners. What's the one thing that we could do, or one action that we could take to increase that network, even if it's just by half a person, that can then give us that time or that brain headspace to go, at least I know I've got that. And it could be just releasing the guilt and going, I'm not going to feel guilty when I ask this person for help next.
Yeah, I think that's an important one. I think like a lot of people will talk about work-life balance and getting the balance between everything. And the more I think about it, the more I think it's not really possible. Different things in different chapters of your life are going to take priority, and it might be like, right, this week work needs to be a priority, but in a couple of weeks' time, I've got a little getaway booked with the kids. Like the kids will then take priority. Work then takes a back seat, and just like I do pay a lot of people to support me and support my business, and my intention is that I will grow that to a certain size so that I can have less and less pressure on me, and I can be the person that oversees things and tells people what to do, but I'm not doing a lot of the doing. I can lay by the beach. So that's my plan. I think finding the right people, it was like what you were saying, Victoria, about people will offer the help, but then when you actually need it, they're not there. I remember once someone said to me that if I had any problems at all in the job that I was in, that she'd have a job for me. And then when I did have those problems and I went to her, and she was like, oh, sorry, no, I can't, like, I'm not in a position to do that. And I'm like, well, just don't offer them. Like, I saw that as a genuine offer of support, and actually it was just made up
service.
Yeah, exactly, to make her feel good at that point in time. So I think finding the right people is definitely difficult. Like Victoria, you've got Marie in your business as well, and she's just fabulous because you know that you can trust her to get the work done that needs doing. You don't need to constantly be on her back. And when I look at a lot of the successful people in the online world, what you see is like you see them as the face of the business, but behind them they've got such a strong support network of amazing people that are there to do most of the hard work so that they can do the thing that they love. And that's exactly what my plan is to build.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to build that, but also I'm very aware that we're talking about the doing. So Marie is amazing. Like literally, she's one of the people that I can say in my business, I just don't have to worry. She just gets on and does it and stuff like, and it's the back office stuff. So it's nothing to do with the posting or anything else. It's just the back office stuff that, you know, to be fair and stuff, almost brought down my business, but she's there sort of like working through it and getting everything done right. I look at it more from the emotional perspective, because I do pay people to do stuff in my business, and I flip between bringing people in for 3 months and then stopping and then waiting and then bringing them in again. But that's just the stage of my business. For me, the emotional side is huge. Like being able to offload. I was just talking to a client just now, and she's like, I couldn't sleep because there was so much going on in my brain. And I was like, so write everything down before you go to bed. Just write it down so you know that it's all there. And then you can even give yourself like mini actions to take when you wake up, but at least it's out there. And it's that whole thing of, there was nothing that needed to be done, doable in my business last night. It was just like, I don't know why I feel like this, and I want to talk to someone. And I had to, to Helen's point, self-regulate. Like I had to be my own coach. I had to be the other person to make sure that I showed up this morning to promote Purpose Guaranteed, to speak to the people who are working in the business, to have this call, to have the next few meetings that I'm having for the rest of the day. You know what I mean? Like I had to do that, because otherwise, what do? Stay under a duvet all day? So I can't afford to do that. So I had to find a way. And I feel like the doing, that's for me, that's capacity wise. It's like, how can you afford, or who can you bring into your business to help? The emotional side is, what action do you need to make so you've got that person that when you come back from a long day, you know, like me and Rochelle was speaking briefly, and she was like, I came back from speaking and I literally, you know, unraveled to Chris and stuff. It was like everything that I'm feeling, you know, having that person there. And there's 8 billion people in the world. We should be able to at least find our person, whoever that is. You know what I mean? Like we can't be islands. We just can't be islands.
I agree, but I also find it really difficult to have that level of, and it's not a vulnerability thing. I think it is a timing thing. You know, to Naomi's point, I don't want to be a burden on anything. Lots of people have got their lives going on. I use AI. There's some really good therapy tools that are AI driven. I use AI to dump on a lot and to just reflect back and think and do. I rely on myself a lot. And I'm also really clear that I want my friendships for joy and fun. And I know that makes them feel as though they then become very transient. And that's not what I mean at all. But I think we just need to be really careful about how and when we dump, because actually everyone's going through everything. I don't know a single person who is not juggling 1,000 plates at once and, you know, and can't afford for one of them to drop. So I think there's a real burden on us to have ownership of our own stuff. And have a good therapist and, you know, use the tools available to us. But I also think actually what quite a lot of us need is more fun, more levity, and more escapes.
That's interesting.
People who love us.
That's so interesting. See, I look at it completely different. I don't see it as dumping, because like with Rochelle and I, there's been a day where I've got a lot to say. And Rochelle sits and holds the space. And there's days when she has a lot she has to say, and I sit and hold the space. I'm a strong believer that I'm tired of friendships that are fun and good friendships. Like that does nothing for me, because it's the same as if I'm in a relationship, I want to know what you like when you haven't eaten. I want to know. I want to know.
Worst side of you.
Yeah, I want to know. I want to know what you like when you've been stuck in traffic for 5 hours and stuff, and you get home, you're starving, you're dying for a week. That's the person I want to see, because it's very easy for me anyway to show up and just be this amazing human being. When people say, "Oh my God, you're amazing," which I get a lot, I'm like, "Thank you," but you ain't seen me when I'm hungry. You ain't seen me.
Yeah. And there's a lot of truth to that, but it's sort of, it's finding that balance, and finding that one person would be lovely, but sort of even in friendships, I don't think I've been that lucky. But so sort of what have I got and how can I use it is the pragmatic approach that I take at the moment.
And you know what, it works. Everybody's stuff works for themselves and stuff, and it's how you navigate it. But I want to see like, I think the first time Rochelle heard me swear, she was like, "Damn, I didn't know you had them words in your vocabulary." I was like, but that's me when I'm, and I'm very opinionated, and I have a lot of standards that I probably don't talk about a lot. And when the standards aren't met, I'm like, what the hell? Like, what we're doing and stuff. And for someone to sort of like see that side of you and still go, yeah, I still want to be friends with you, because actually I'm that person. If you call me at 2:00 in the morning, I'll be there. That's my standard of friendship. And it's not that I expect it from other people, but that's my standard of friendship. So I don't always believe that friendships are just like, yay, fun. Because it's easy to be, yay, fun and stuff. It's like when people, this is taking it to a different side now, but it's like you'll hear of people going, "Oh my God, we were out last night." And then someone's taking their life and you're like, "Yeah, but we're smiling. We're all having fun and stuff." It's like, talk, it's like just having, because otherwise all it does is it compounds. It's a compounded anger, frustration, and it's got to go somewhere. It's either going to go, in Naomi's world, through your mouth, or it's going to go, self-harm or something, or just sort of like the anger and frustration where it has to come out somewhere. And that's why I had to do the work on myself yesterday. I was like, you need to, whatever this is, you don't need to understand it, but you need to navigate it. And I thought, what can I do? I will just have a talk about it on the panel, which has been really useful. Naomi, thoughts?
Well, no, I was having a conversation with somebody the other evening about how a lot more women are now starting to live together and not like as in housemates, but as in communities. And I'm seeing women who are actually moving in with their children together. And
I think I would do that if I didn't have Chris.
Well, but
I am so up for buying an old chateau in France and building a massive
let's do
commune.
it. And I do think about it. And do you know what? I think it was after the pandemic. I had a very serious conversation with a group of my friends here in Brighton and Hove. We all owned our properties. We're all spending a lot on mortgages, living on our own. And we had a conversation about renting literally like a footballer's wife's property on the outskirts of Brighton with its own swimming pool, because my friend's a swimming teacher. With its own swimming pool, with all this, where we all have our own en-suites and all this, and then we just share. And sometimes I think, do you know what? That could work really, really bloody well. And then there are times that I just love. I'm much more impacted by energy nowadays than I've ever been. And all you need is one of those people in that house to be the pessimist. And let's be honest. We've all got friends who are the drains, the pessimists, the ones that we never share certain things with because we know that they've had it happen 10 times bigger. And so I just think like living together like that is also like thinking about a partner. Yeah. And there's too many variables.
Too many.
So what me and my close group of friends who we've known each other since school, we always talk about buying a plot of land somewhere and building villas around it.
Oh, I love it!
Our own house and our own villa. Yeah, but then we've got the swimming pool and we can all just live together and be happy, and all the boys get on amazing. I don't know. One day, hopefully.
I do think everyone, to your point, Naomi, everyone needs their own space where you can lock the door and it be yours.
And you don't have to see anyone on the way to the kitchen or to the bathroom.
No,
It's like having
exactly.
that separate space, but then also having like common areas as well.
I don't want to have a conversation when I wake up in the morning and go
Right,
to like,
that part.
I don't want that part.
Yeah, I love living on my own. I do love living on my own, but I have seen what Naomi spoke about. I think it's called a mommune or something. I think I think it's called a mommune because I saw it. I don't know where I saw it. I think the Independent. I think I subscribe to the Independent, so I get a lot of flashes sometimes. And it was a mommune, and a lot of mums are coming together to either live together to raise the children and stuff because they just don't have the support anymore. So they're going, again to Helen's point, which is, you may have somebody who's got a different schedule to you that can help with bringing the children in and everything else. And it's called a mommune. And I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. I don't envy it at all. But because then again, though, it still happens where, like you say, Naomi, you get people that will drain you and everything else. But right now, I'm saying safe distance is just having a look around and seeing who you can be friends with and stuff, and go, and not see it as dumping, and just get to know people. That's the other thing as well. It's like you don't dump straight away. It's about knowing people's capacity and stuff. Like I'm someone that people can ring and tell me stuff. Like I hold so many secrets, it's ridiculous. But it's like people come and tell you stuff. But also I don't feel obliged to listen, if that makes sense and stuff. But I will listen to people because I know that people need to be able to go and let it out, and I'd rather somebody let it out than held it in, so to speak, and stuff. But also it's about, and to be fair, my moment last night was at a very unruly hour. And to be fair, if I really wanted to and stuff, I've got friends abroad that I could have called if I'm really on. If I was thinking about, I've got friends who I can call abroad who are in the States and stuff, who I could have gone. And this happened. But equally, I was very aware that they wouldn't understand the concept of a masterclass and sales and everything else. And I think that's where I was coming from, was that it was having somebody who could understand it rather than not.
And I think that's where I tend to use my coaches, because they understand, they've been there, they go through it. And I think, as entrepreneurs as well, how many of our friends and family, my dad thinks I sit at home all day drinking coffee, and I should be available to sit and have lunch with him every day. Honestly, how many of our friends understand and get? A few weeks back in January, I was at an event up in the Midlands. My friends very kindly let me stay there the night before. And actually the next day, my friend's husband said, why don't you work in her office? She's going out. Why don't you work in her office? Don't go and check into a hotel and try and work in a lobby. And he overheard and he at lunchtime, he said, oh my God, like what you do is like major stuff. And I was like, well, what does everybody think I bloody do? Do you just think I sit around like posting on social media?
I think that's what most of our families think we do.
So I think it is that thing of like, I do have incredible friends and I do share things, but I also want to share things with somebody who isn't just going to listen and hold space, but who is sometimes going to give perspective advice. My coach is in Australia now, but it actually works incredibly well because of the time. Like you think the time difference wouldn't work, but my late night is when she's then kind of like, so I quite often, if there's something that's really sort of on my mind, I'll leave a late night voice note. Well, I say late night, I'm going to bed like early. This isn't late night, midnight. This is like late night, like 9:45.
Yeah.
But then when I wake up, I've had a good night's sleep and I've got a message from her. And it's usually like, and it just helps me to go, yeah, that's just what I needed. Then I got something practical, something. But I think it is that thing of when trying to share things with friends that don't understand and wouldn't comprehend it. So often they'll say things like, oh, well, you've got this. And I bloody know I have. I don't always need to hear that from somebody else. I sometimes need the practical, yes, you know what, I've been in this situation. This is what I did, or you know what, this is completely normal. So I think it's a real fine balance, isn't it? A real fine balance, because it's not, I know I use that word burden, but it's not because I don't want to burden people. It's sometimes because actually I either want to figure it out myself, or I want to get what I need, not just like, there, it'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't do anything for me. There, you'll be okay.
It did when I was 6.
No, it didn't.
not at 51.
No, not at all. So I guess the whole point of this conversation is, you know, do what works for you, but don't be an island.
Yeah.
And that, you know, you're listening to 4 women who are doing incredible things in this world, who are very similar in certain ways and very different in others. And it's about finding your space. It's finding your space and ask for help. Don't suffer in silence. Seriously, like, find my email address and just message me if you're really going through something really bad. I'll hold space for you and if not, I'll pass you on to someone who can. But do not suffer in silence and stuff. Find that one friend or 2 friends that you can split your moans between and stuff, and they'll also be prepared to listen to theirs as well. We will speak to you next week. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.